Dungeons and Dragons. Whether you've experienced the magic of playing before or you've merely only heard of it and are interested in giving it a go. If you have no friends that share your interest in fantasy, you may fear that all hope is lost. But fear no more, for the internet is here to save you. It is really hard to beat in-person Dungeons & Dragons, and I say that is almost an exclusively online DM. But playing in person is not always an option. And thankfully, technology has gotten to the point where it's a lot of fun to play online. But you might still run into the challenges of finding people to play with. Your first option, and I don't really have a catchy title or name for this, but it's basically posts. I'll list them all in the description. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But basically, the Dungeon Master, will create a post. They'll publish it, and is a player. If you are looking for a group, you can be very specific on, I want games that are playing at this time, and blah, 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 and you can search for them. Using resources like this, there's some advantages and disadvantages and just things to know, which I'll go over. First off, there's a lot more pay-to-play posts here. It's a much more normal thing. So if you're not looking to pay to play, you might have a lot more issues as a player finding a group. In my experience as a player, maybe 20% of the games that I tried to join actually end up working out. As a Dungeon Master for non-paid groups, only about half of the players end up actually making it to session 2. Most of them drop out before session 1, and then after session 1, a few more will drop out. If you do pay to play, a lot more people will stick with it, but non-pay to play on these posts, for some reason, you get a lot more trolls. They get a lot of traffic, but trolls come along with that. Also, a quick side note, if you're going to use Roll20 and you want to play on Foundry, it's probably not going to work out. Almost all Roll20 posts play on Roll20. So if you don't want to go to a place that has these posts, your other options are communities. Communities I typically enjoy more, but there's a few things to know about them as well. Your options for communities, the ones that I use are Discord, Reddit, Facebook, and I count D&D Beyond as a community just because of the way that their forums work. I'll put in the description all of the different communities that I use and think that are good, but if there's any that I missed, or that if you're a part of a good community for D&D and finding groups, please list it in the comments to help pull more people into there. Some of the advantages is they typically have fewer headaches involved with finding a group. You can often join a Facebook group or something and just type in there, hey, looking for a group that plays around whatever time, and you might get some people that are looking for an additional player. Or as a Dungeon Master, you can post your game and you'll probably get some comments, and I find much higher success rates in communities for finding players and fewer trolls. Though I will say, if you're a Dungeon Master that wants to charge for your games, if you want to have pay-to-play games, Facebook is probably not the place to do it. Not that nobody finds success on there, but whenever I see another Dungeon Master post a pay-to-play game, the comments are filled with people just attacking them. So just something to know about that community. They typically frown on pay-to-play games for some reason. A disadvantage with the communities, though, is you can't search for a specific time. If you're like, I can only play on Saturdays at 2 o'clock, it might be harder to find a group through community. So you're going to have to be a little bit more flexible, but this is typically my recommended route to find a game, because in my experience, it's typically a much more pleasant experience, and you can meet some nicer people, or at least the people on there typically act nicer. For some reason, I don't know what is up with places like Roll20, but there's a lot of trolls on there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I have plenty of other D&D related videos on this channel. If there's something that I haven't done a video on that you would like to see, leave a comment below, and maybe the next video that I do. Peace.